Hey guys, good morning, evening, afternoon. Moss here. Hope you are doing really fantastic. Welcome to, uh, just give me 1 second. Guys, we'll go ahead and get comfortable, get situated, because this is an experiential uh, talk. It's an experiential discussion, and there's a couple of reasons for it. One, I know there's a lot of new people every time we have a lot of new people, so thank you for that. Please, for those individuals who are here, you're liking it, please subscribe, tell your friends about it. That'd be so fantastic to get the word out on how to evolve consciousness properly. Um, the reason why I said it is an experiential experience, it's because it's food that isn't just for the brain. I'm not going to give you uh, content, or knowledge that you can digest. The frequencies that I generate through two near-death experiences, and that's where I get my knowledge. It's not that I did a lot of research or anything like that. Actually, I didn't do any research, but if you ascend to higher levels of consciousness, like I did through the two near deaths, that knowledge exists deep within us. And that knowledge you don't have up here. That knowledge is in here. You live the knowledge. You are the knowledge. So this is where I don't have to really prepare notes. Obviously I've got talking points here, but I don't take 10 hours, or some people take like 3-4 days for like an hour meeting, because they have to do a lot of research, they have to prepare, they have to write their speech out. um, it just is, right? It just comes from the essence of the person. For example, Steve Jobs, right? We would think this Moss on Sun is skills of exceptional leaders and the consciousness effect. So we'll explain all the details on what that is. But going back to Steve Jobs, he did like 20-30 minute product introductions that he would take him weeks to practice over and over and over again to get the nuances right. Obviously, it's a technology company, but even then, the technology should be good enough where, if it worked once, it should work again and again. And even then, they had flaws displaying the technology, but every nuance of how he spoke, everything was dialogue for him. So I'm not saying he's not an exceptional leader, but that's one of the key traits that individuals don't really look at when they see key traits of exceptional leaders. They are the knowledge. So that's one trait that exceptional leaders have. The first half, and I know I jump around a lot, but that's okay. Um, that's another trait of exceptional leaders, which we'll get into, is that they jump around a lot. So, and I'll give you the details on that. So the first half of Moss on Sundays, if you're new, and I know there's a lot of new people, is that we talk about the deep science on what makes an exceptional leader in this case. So the deep science, not the surface level, say, facts, which are true or they may not be true. And that's because of the consciousness effect, right? At certain layers or certain levels, of course, there's facts that are true, but as you go to higher and higher levels, well, those facts, they might be true or they might not. So the consciousness effect really has to do with the first principle definition. Just like Elon Musk says, if you can break down a problem to its first principle, the lowest level denominator where it can't break down anymore, then you have real solutions. So this Moss on Sundays, or anything that I do under the umbrella exponential intelligence, the body of knowledge that I have attained through the two near deaths, that everybody can access, by the way, without having a near death. That's why I'm here. That body of knowledge is always based on the first principle. It can't be broken down any further. Okay? So what that means to you is that if you practice, say, that first knowledge, there's no exceptions to the rule. It just is. No matter what situation that you're in, that first knowledge always applies. So think about that as we move on. The second half is where I analyze individuals. And for those people who are naysayers, who are scientists, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for you to go, well, shit, what is this guy tapping into, and how is he so accurate? Okay, because I don't have psychic abilities or anything like that, by the way. It's just a reality that I tap into, that I can see and understand what your, say, situation is, what's holding you back, and then also help you release it so you can move on further and become, say, a better version of who you are. And it doesn't take years of, say, psychology or therapy or motivation or anything like that. Literally, it's about changing your underlying frequency or algorithm, as I would call it, and then your life changes. So it's not merely about, say, fixing things, but it's about changing the reality or the consciousness that you exist in, and that, say, issue or problem that you have ceases to exist. So a whole different way of looking at how to improve your life. And when you improve your life in that manner, you you change consciousness, you evolve humanity to a higher level. So let's jump in uh, and we'll talk about skills of exceptional leaders and the consciousness effect. Before we get into it too deep, yeah. So when people think about when people think about exceptional leadership, they always talk about traits. So I looked up exceptional leaders and then the traits of exceptional leaders, and you have five leadership skills and practices. 10 leadership skills and practices of exceptional leaders, and you have like 20 traits of exceptional leaders, but they very, very different from my perspective. Again, a first principle perspective that most individuals say miss at the lower levels of consciousness. So, and again, these traits that I talk about, it's not that they're wrong. It's not that the exceptional leaders don't have it. It's just that there's something deeper that makes these leaders very exceptional. And then the definitions are very different at the higher levels of consciousness. And a lot of people dictate that exceptional leaders are individuals who are highly successful, especially like in the business world, right? Somebody makes $1 billion, and then they're an exceptional leader and they know everything about everything, right? Well, they don't. They know everything about, say, not everything about making money, because usually they make money the wrong way or for the wrong purpose. So that is not an exceptional leader to me. And most individuals who, again, are deemed exceptional leaders, there's a lot of flaws in them. So the way I look at an exceptional leader is that they're hyper successful, which means that they don't have like $1 trillion where people have $1 billion and now they have $1 trillion and then that's hyper success. No, hyper success is that where individuals have all aspects of success, all aspects of their being complete. So that means that hyper successful individuals, they have all aspects of their being complete, which means that they didn't sacrifice anything for their success. They didn't sacrifice, say, their family. Like I had to sacrifice my family, my health, um, my religions, my spirituality, and all that to make money, right? A lot of people do that, not just for success. Many individuals go, well, I sacrificed for you kids so you can have a good home and all that. That doesn't denote you as a good parent, by the way. It's actually a very destructive parent. And yes, people will maybe take offense to that. It's like, shit, I've done everything for my kid, I've done everything for my company, and then the kids hate me, and now this guy's telling me, shit, that wasn't such a good parent. I'm not saying you're not a good parent. I'm not saying you are a good parent. I'm not saying anything like that. But if you have an ingredient of sacrifice, control, or lack in your mechanism or your ingredient for success, you're not an exceptional leader. You're not an exceptional anything, really. You might be very successful at something, but you're not exceptional because all aspects of you, say, aren't firing at your top level potential. So to me, a definition of an exceptional leader is somebody that's, well, firing at all levels, all aspects. Their relationships are at high levels. Their their wealth is at high levels. Their health is at high levels. They become highly, say, youthful. They don't destroy themselves. They don't have, say, any negative regrets when they get older. And I've known a lot of individuals who've been super successful, and they never, and in their dying bed or as they get older, you talk to them, and they never go, like Moss. You know what? If I made another $1 billion, I know I'd be complete. As I pass over, I'd be happy. They not one, and I'm sure you can attest to it too. Not one has said that, right? Most of them say it's like, damn, I kind of missed the boat. I paid too much for the price of success because I lost everything. I lost my whole identity. And a lot of people do because they sell their souls or spirits to the devil, so to speak. If you believe in that, that's a layman's term, but there is a science behind that, by the way. So part of being an exceptional leader is that you become more complete when you create, say, massive amounts of wealth, massive amounts of success, massive amounts of helping people. Many people go, well, I've, there's an event out there that anybody that can, say, feed 1 billion people out there, and I just heard about it, the X something, X Factor, something like that. Anybody that can feed 1 billion people, they'll give them, I don't know, $10 million or something like that. Something's out there that some billionaire is doing, which is really fine. But that's great motivation for people. And then people go, well, shit, that guy's fantastic. That's an exceptional leader. But in my eyes, first principle definition, they're really not, because, you feed 1 billion people, for example. Are they gonna, where's their next meal come from? Did you teach them how to, say, ascend to a level where they can feed themselves, or are you perpetuating poverty? Right. So that's the issue I have with people who are philanthropic. So, and by the way, guys, I know many of you will hate me. It doesn't really matter. I'm just here to tell you what works and what doesn't. Okay. You don't want to go to a doctor and go, hey, doctor, lie to me because, I'm dying. So lie to me so it makes me feel good. Right. You want to go to a doctor that goes, hey, doctor, I'm dying. Tell me the truth and tell me what's ailing me so I can heal myself and move on and have a fantastic life. Right. So I'm maybe that doctor that some of you that as we go through this process might not like, especially successful individuals. There's a lot of successful individuals as I come into, their world, it's not that they don't like me, but they become very, very insecure, right? They've done a lot of shit. They've made a $1 billion company, and they've made, all the success. They've won a ton of awards through their success. They've turned companies around, and I look at that and I go, that's really fantastic. You got to give them accolades on where they are and what they've done. But then they still run patterns of abuse. They're still that little child, that still got abused, or that little individual that got bullied, and, they didn't really heal themselves. So, when you're a leader, those issues bleed through into your leadership. So you can't really be called an exceptional leader. You're a leader for sure, right? You're a leader in one segment of frequencies, and that is called wealth, right? But the reason why you became, say, that wealthy, or you became that loving, or you became, say, like a mother, we'll move away from wealth, because a lot of people, again, probably listening to this as we grow in popularity, they want to become wealthy, and again, they get hurt because their egos are hurt. We'll talk about ego as well as one of the key factors of exceptional leaders. Let's take a look at Mother Teresa, for example, right? We'll just move away and we'll do that good person, because most people go, well, yeah, that money guy, right? And that's all they think about. And then I'm going to be a good person and not have money, like Mother Teresa. Although, her company or organization. They went through millions and millions of dollars to help people. So she was a great manifester of individuals, but she never held on to the money herself, right? It's like, well, no, money's not good for me, but we need money to provide for the poor. Well, again, she's a great individual. She helped millions of people. But then when she crossed over, when she died, did her efforts perpetuate forward? Oh, did it? Did those individuals say ascend higher? Did consciousness ascend higher? Because nowadays, consciousness is a key word, right? Everybody's elevating this consciousness, and most individuals don't even know what consciousness is from a scientific point of view. It's always like this etheric thing, and even science can't really say understand it the way I define it. And we'll get into that. Actually, if you listen to another Mas on Sundays, I do define consciousness. It's a larger topic of itself, so I won't get into it here. So again, I'm not knocking any leader down. I'm not knocking Mother Teresa down or anything like that at all. People do fantastic work. I'm not knocking anybody down that elevates consciousness by going, I'm going to help a lot of people. I'm going to feed them. I'm going to clothe them. I'm going to do, I don't know, medical work for them and all that. But that's not elevating consciousness. That's making them more comfortable in the consciousness that they exist. So this is where, say, poverty, right? Today's people who are impoverished, today's people who are in tent cities, they live a hell of a lot better than those individuals who, back in the 40s and 50s, these guys have cell phones and, they can connect and in all that, right? They're more comfortable. They've got nice tents and so on, but they're still impoverished. So again, I'm just saying that, if you make poverty more comfortable for people, they're still in poverty, right? They're still in the lower realm where they need support from somebody else. So elevating consciousness dictates, the first principle dictates that you're elevating somebody's consciousness to a level where they can sustain themselves. So if you define your actions and work, and by the way, guys, I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I'm just saying that if you're perpetuating people existing in the same consciousness, there's better ways of feeding people. There's better ways of making money. There's, say, more, say, advanced ways of, say, technology to help people. Even technology today, there's a leader, people go, Steve Jobs. Let's take Steve Jobs, for example. Exceptional leader, right, so to speak. But then a lot of distortions on that. And again, fantastic leader, fantastic innovator. And we'd go, what was his traits, right? He motivated people. He got a lot of things done, and he created a billion-dollar company. But, those individuals are like, say, mavericks, right? And those mavericks, like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or even Oprah and all those individuals, fantastic individuals. I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm just pointing out that for those people who want to become exceptional leaders, what to watch out for so you can even do it better, right? That's what you want to do. You point out things, not to destroy other people, but go, hey, you know what? This person did a fantastic job here, but, they kind of missed out on here. Kind of like that coach. It's like, hey, if we work here, you'll even be more of a leader, like into that exceptional leader realm. By the way, if you want me to analyze anybody, put it on the chat and I'll analyze who you think an exceptional leader is. So it's like Steve Jobs, for example. He was a maverick, right? He wanted to break away from the system, right? In fact, the 1984 commercials, fantastic commercials as far as marketing pieces go. Really fantastic. And, it was about breaking the system. It was about freedom. And then if you've noticed, his products aren't about freedom, right? It dictates, well, they're a closed system, right? You can't edit, you can't do anything, outside of how they've designed and developed it. They also, he turned into a tyrant afterwards, right? Later on, his employees, well, say they weren't treated the best. So is that, say, an exceptional leader on the outside? Even like, say, Jeff Bezos, right? On the outside, they look like exceptional leaders. On the inside, well, shit, they're not so fantastic. And exceptional leaders like transcend time as well. They're exceptional leaders. Leadership, they were an exceptional leader before they got successful, before they got complete, right? And I'm not saying they were born, but they developed and honed their skills at an early level um, before they become, say, famous. Um, so Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they were those mavericks that broke the system. They wanted to, say, create freedom, but then look what happened to Apple. They become such a giant, and it's not about being, say, such a big corporation that you know that's just the way it is, because it's not. It's just that the corporation dictated that shit, they could do anything, and they were too big even for the government, because the government needs money for taxes and so on like that, right? So the government couldn't even, say, well, move or, say, penalize some of the things that Apple did or some of the things that Microsoft did. And oh, that's what I was talking about. Exceptional leaders transcend time. So they're an exceptional leader before they were successful, during they're successful, and then you know, and then on, even after they die. Right? They cross over. If you've noticed, say, Bill Gates, well, not such an exceptional leader, maybe back in the day, and then even during the day, a lot of people thought that he wasn't that great, or, say, not as clean. And nowadays, look at his authority or look at his image. Those that type of leadership for the masses, not so great. Oprah, probably the same thing as well. I'm not here to knock anybody down. I'm just here to help you become that exceptional leader, if you desire, by just pointing out, say, factors that we can learn from other people. Let's take a deep breath in. And like I said, it is an experiential experience for you. So what that means is that as I work or as I talk about, say, the logic or the knowledge, the frequencies that I resonate for you, you feel. Okay. So that means that the knowledge is not just stored up here. That knowledge resonates with you at a deeper level, and that's why it's so different. Some people might call me really intense, right? Especially if you look at me, if you don't know anything about me, it's like, shit, that guy's mean, or that guy's intense. And I have my kids like that, my kids' friends. It's like, that dude, your father's the most intense guy I've ever seen. They've come, and that intensity, there's a reason for that. Exceptional leaders are very intense in that form, and I'll give you why or where, excuse me, why or how that intensity is formed, and it's got nothing to do. Excuse me. It's got nothing to do with, say, their traits. It's got nothing to do with their emotions or anything like that. So we'll go through, and we'll go through some of the key traits that you look on a website on leadership and so on. Some of the key traits that people have or are considered exceptional leaders. So exceptional, and I just pulled this off a website. Exceptional people typically possess a healthy dose of each of the following 5 character traits: responsibility, persistence, delayed gratification, a thirst for knowledge and conviction, humility. Well, those are traits that, well, anybody should have, not just exceptional leaders. This is kind of like marketing here. I don't know who the company is, but they advertise in their slogan that they use real beef. It's like, hey, we're using real beef now. And it's like, well, shit, what were you feeding us before? Or like, hey, this is real cheese. Shouldn't that just be the norm, that it is just cheese? It is like food that we're eating, right? It's real beef. I don't know, what else would it be, right? So those things, those traits are just things that should be. By the way, as a marketing individual, if you're going, well, hey, we're the honest guys, what does that tell you about your genre of business, right? Hey, we're honest. That should just be a given that you're honest, right? You shouldn't have to have it as a slogan that you're honest, or we have integrity. That basically means that your genre is full of, shysters, and then you're the honest one there. So again, those things, start to be aware of how you market. Excuse me. This other leadership and practices is that self-development. That's considered as an exceptional leader trait that you should have. I think everybody being human should have, say, self-development traits, right? So what's different that makes you an exceptional leader? Team development. Well, team development, whether you're a family or, corporation, or, you're a government, we should always have, some sort of team development skills, don't you think? I don't think that really makes you an exceptional leader. Maybe they're going, well, how do you bring a team together? Strategic thinking and acting. Sure. Criminals have like strategic thinking and acting, and there are exceptional leaders, by the way, who are, say, criminals, and they're exceptional leaders. Ethical practice and civil-mindedness. That's a big one, because that means that most people aren't ethical. And as a humanity, just like that, your genre of business, right? Shouldn't all humans run on an ethical platform just because you're human? And, just because you're human, and shouldn't you honor humans by having, ethics or morality? And we'll talk about that. Innovation, that's very important as well. But there's a lot of people, there's a lot of innovations that come from highly intelligent individuals that have no reason to be exceptional leaders. So so what is the key component of? And by the way, I'm not knocking any of these down. I'm just saying that we have to redefine some of those terms. So we make an exceptional leader. So people who are involved in becoming exceptional leader, right, know what they're seeking or searching for. Innovation, obviously, gratitude. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate that word, gratitude. Okay, and many of you, and many themes are out there. You got to have gratitude, and I know it's going to throw a lot of people off. And I know there's big famous speakers like, you got to have gratitude and this and that. At a higher level of consciousness, and I'll explain gratitude just briefly. I'm not knocking anything down, by the way. I'm just giving you the underlying frequency on what happens when you have gratitude, or the way gratitude is defined for you. Okay. Let's take a deep breath in. And by the way, I'm just working on you. I'll tell you what that means as we get into the second half, where I analyze people's frequencies and tell them how to, say, push them to their higher level. So the reason why I hate gratitude as a word is because if you look at the word gratitude, it implicates that you owe somebody something. Okay, so for example, and you hear this a lot, I sacrificed everything for you damn kids, and now, you hate me. I work with a ton of people, and, they're a lot of wealthy individuals, a lot of wealthy clients come to me and go, Mas, I've done everything for my kids. I built this business for my kids, and now they're not thankful. They hate me. They should have gratitude, right? Or you should have gratitude that I did all this for you. Well, it binds you. It binds your kids. That's why your kids, well, aren't really that connected to you, right? They want to get away from you no matter what you provide. When you're always thinking that, hey, I gave you this, you should give me this. That's basically what gratitude is, right? I have gratitude towards God. Well, God gave you this, and however you define God, it doesn't matter to me. They're all right and they're all wrong. We can always do that better as well, right? So I should have gratitude towards what God gave me. But then, that's basically burden, say, the definition of God, because now you owe something to God. God doesn't need anything from you, right? God in all religions, hopefully if you're practicing your religion and spirituality, right? If God is so complete, he wouldn't, or she wouldn't, or however you define it, wouldn't need anything from you. So why would you have to even respect God, or even, you know, um, pay alms to God, or pay all that? It's not about God. So gratitude, again, in a word, basically burdens the hell out of you. When you have gratitude towards somebody, right? Somebody did something nice to you. What happens? Every time you see that person, you think you owe them something, right? So the bigger picture, the government runs and feeds on this, by the way, right? Um, and then it's like, you owe us. We took care of you, especially during this COVID. We saved your ass, right? We got these vaccines and this, like that. You should owe us, right? Nowadays, not wearing a mask is a privilege. So when people or leaders, this comes into gratitude. When people and leaders or governments or your parents start to go, you should have gratitude, and for things that are just normal human rights, like not wearing a mask. That should just be, well, part of the species. If God wanted you to say that, let's not get into that. But when you're wearing a mask, right, and then you take it off, and that should be like, well, shit, that's what do they call that? What was that? Is a privilege. Not wearing a mask is that should just be a natural human right, don't you think? It shouldn't be a privilege. And then what did we do in our society, right? People go, well, shit, we're trying to, shit, Moss, we're trying to protect ourselves. That's why we're wearing a mask. It's like, well, no, what did we fuck up in society in the past to get us to the point that we have to wear a mask in the first place? What did we do in society that we haven't figured out through all these pandemics? The COVID was not the first pandemic, right? Pandemic after pandemic after pandemic. And so what did we do wrong back here that is causing us here? I get this a lot with people's kids. They come to me and go, Moss, I have a problem with my kid, can you fix them? And I'm going, well, they're 25 years old and they're kind of a fuck up, and it's like, well, and fix them. And they got into this trouble. Can you help them? Can you help me get them out of this trouble? They're addicted to stuff, whatever. And I'm not blaming parents. Obviously, it's the kid's responsibility as well, no matter how old you are, right? It's like, well, what happened back here that this situation is happening here, right? Governments, companies, all those leaders, they always are, say, fixing the problem here, and that fixing the problem perpetuates problems down the line. Because if you're focusing in on one, that means you're not focusing on where the ship is going, and you're going to run into something. So exceptional leaders have foresight, way ahead. They see things that could go wrong because they're always operating from the first principle. So in the XI version of what skills exceptional leaders is, well, foresight. They always practice the first principle method, not the lower level. If you practice something from the lower levels of consciousness, if you have, well, we're going to do X, but then X doesn't work in this situation, and this situation, and this situation, then you're not practicing from the first principle. X should work in at least in many cases 50% of the situation. I mean, that's a lot of give and take, right? Most exceptional leaders that I talk about, or the way you should run your life, should be at least, say, 70 or 80 or 90, right? So exceptional leaders practice the first principle method, where their solution, or the way they dictate their life, works pretty much in all aspects. The way they run their life, if somebody, say, took that principle, not the exact same method, but that principle of their life, that would work for the rest of humanity, for example. That's an exceptional leader trait. They work from the first principle method. Okay, so that's key. That's the number one. Their rules or traits cannot be broken down into any, say, simplified version. For example, science. Right? You might think, well, scientists are always right, but most of the time they're always wrong. Right? 10 years later, a decade later, they always go. Well, shit, because of new instrumentation and the new knowledge that we've discovered, what we thought about 10 years ago, well, we're fucking wrong. We're off. We're way off. So again, that is what I'm talking about. If you're an exceptional leader, your leadership or your presence would be right, no matter what decade, or no matter if it's a million years later. Again, that system, that mechanism should work. So exceptional leaders, they come from the first principle method, where it's a timeless solution. They're always seeking that timeless solution, where it works now, and it'll work 1,000 years into the future, and then it'll work into way beyond. It'll work on other planets, by the way. That's how, say, their principle is. I'm not saying you have to be at that top level all the time, but I'm saying you should strive for finding solutions and operating your life from that first principle method. And the way you do that is, again, you have to elevate yourself to a consciousness that you should try to transcend time. Because when you're in lower levels, or denser you are in time and space, the more exceptions to the rule that you have. People have character. Exceptional leaders have, say, this character. And character in today's reality is, well, it might be a longer talk, guys. So I'll make it brief, and then we'll do a lecture series on exceptional leaders and help you start programming the exceptional leader frequencies, so you operate from this no matter what level that you're at. People have character. So character is usually deemed by, back in the day, right? People started to realize that, hey, if somebody is wearing a white medical jacket, right, a lab coat, or like an operating room scrubs, right? It's a doctor. That means a doctor. I should trust a doctor, because back in the day, that was their character. So what happened is, like, people trust their doctors. Okay. I'm talking back in the day, right? People trust their doctors. Well, doctors wear scrubs. Doctors wear the white lab coats. So what do people go? Oh, in order to have character, in order for people to trust me, I'm going to wear a fucking lab coat. And that's where the advent of people in marketing and advertising, people wear lab coats, and that's like, boom, that's a character trait that everybody deems positive, right? So you wear a white lab coat, or you're in scrubs, it's like, that guy, I can trust that guy. So it's got nothing to do with the doctor. It could be somebody who's a garbage man wearing a white lab coat, and you just initially trust them. So if you're basing your character on what you're doing, you need to elevate yourself. And I'll explain what character is, at a deeper level, what that means. Nowadays, so doctors, over time, obviously they've become, say, untrustworthy, or lawyers, at the time, they were very trustworthy. So at, first glance, lawyers, right? Very trustworthy. Now, there's a ton of jokes about lawyers. First, then doctors were trustworthy. Then politicians were trustworthy. And, because you are, a power suit, right? That's that character, right? They have power. I was looking on that. I was cruising through, YouTube. It's like 5 things you can do to, say, dominate power and, hold that confidence, and those are physical things. The way you speak, the way you stand up, the way you wear a red tie with a blue suit and a white shirt, right? That dictates that you've got character. You have leadership. There's politicians that they color their hair white. I think it was Bill Clinton or one of them, right? They grade their hair because that's integrity and all that, or wisdom. So when you're judging or when you're basing your your character on something that you've done or something that you wear or something that you look. It's like, hey, I'm a fucking CEO of $1 billion company. That means I have character. Well, your family might not think so. Your wife might not think so. Your close friends that know you might not think so. I'm this huge singer, this huge entertainer that everybody prays to, and women want to take their clothes off, in front of me and all that stuff, right? A lot of people are like that, right? The bands back in the day, and then you get to know that person. It's like, damn, that guy's a dickhead, right? So that's not really character. So character flows through no matter if you're individual alone in your house. That character is just you are that essence, that presence. Whether you're alone, whether you're with your family, whether you're with a company, whether you're with billions of people, that character transcends. You don't change character. Obviously there's certain personality traits, right? You're a little different than your family than what you would be in front of a board meeting, but your whole logic doesn't change, right? Your character still stays the same. You know what character is? When people don't know you, people don't know you, and then you walk into a room, say a boardroom, and you're not dressed in a power suit or anything, or a power dress, and people look at you, it's like, who's that guy? Or when you walk into a room, or a lecture hall, there's thousands of people, right? There's this famous guru speaking, and you walk into the room and you're late, and then everybody, even the guru, looks at you. It's like, who's that guy? And you're just normally dressed. That's character. It doesn't change. So what is that quality? What's that essence? Nobody knows that you're a VP. Nobody knows that you have 10 characters behind your name, but they look at you and it's like, who's that guy? People who are egotistical, they go, who the fuck is that guy? I need to, trash him or whatever, but doesn't matter. They can't be trashed. Nowadays, character is built on um, website presence, for example. You look at somebody and their character is based on their website or their social media, right? Their social media is like, if it doesn't look good, or if it isn't up to par, if it isn't perfection, then you don't trust them, or it's not trustworthy, because people have lost their internal, say, compass of trust and knowing. Although they know it's there, they're buried. It's buried deep inside, right? But people have defined themselves through, again, physical things. Nowadays, it's social media. How many likes do you have, or how good is your website and stuff? And it's really interesting for me. And I know this is why what I do works. Is like, we don't have the best website. You go there, we have so many things. Again, people get confused, and we're working on it. Yes, obviously, but when you can build a highly successful business without having, say, the most efficient website, without having, well, we never focused in on social media or anything, and you're still creating, say, word of mouth, that's where our we don't spend advertising. We're starting to, because we're getting into that realm, but and we've grown rapidly because of that, despite all the facts that we even have this woman that has hundreds of web pages, same woman, on how I abuse people and all that stuff. Despite all that, or I've raped, I don't know, 500 women, and all that stuff that people look at that and go, oh, it's got bad character. But people who can see through that, right? You can always see through that. It's like, despite all those things that have pushed against, say, me, for example, specifically, we're still freaking successful. That's because that character is deep inside. That integrity is deep inside. And the intelligent people look through that, right? And go, shit, that guy's got something. Yeah, and so that's how we've grown so successfully. So, so with or without title, success, contribution, etc., they command authority. Right? Their moral compass is not based on society. It's based on a human morality. So they look at you and they go, well, he's black, or he's Italian, or he's, I don't know, red, he's alien. He's, they're a woman, they're a man, whatever. I need to treat them differently. They're a child. No, their moral compass is based on they're human. They're of a human species. They're of the same species as I am. They need to be treated with integrity, right? So if you treated everybody at that level, no matter who they are, exceptional leaders treat everybody at that level. Right? Let's take a deep breath in. And again, guys, this might take a little longer. So um, uh, they are the knowledge and personality. They don't wear it like a facade. Right? Well, not most, all exceptional leaders, you can ask them anything about their subject matter, okay? And it's a broad range, right, of their subject matter. And they know the answer. They know they've seen it before. It's not like they've seen it before, but they have so much knowledge, so much depth, right? That and that's another trait of exceptional leaders, is that their expertise is not just on I don't know, technology. Their expertise is all around. They can pull, say, concepts from this area of their life and put it into this area. That's what genius does. So they have traits of, say, genius, right? They can put things together. They can put people together. But exceptional leaders don't have, say, a specific expertise. Their expertise is on building a better human, right? That they find individuals with expertise for sure, but they themselves, they know about, say, that knowledge or technology or area of whatever that they need to, say, have to create a successful company or overall a life. But they might not be, say, the top expert in that field, but they can perpetuate expertise in the individuals that they hire or they incorporate. They have a huge ego. And this is very different because people go, well, you should be humble. And I'm talking that they have a huge ego. So again, very different, right? Because people or egos, many people are averse to that. So let me explain. So huge egos, they have huge, tremendous amounts of ego. So they know who they are. They know who they are leading, right? So what that means is, again, very different, right? Because you should practice humility. They have humility at the same time. So their ego comes from, say, a position that it's not based on, hey, I made a shitload of money here, and then you should respect me, right? Or I am something. I sold I don't know, a million records or a million books, or a million widgets. I studied some science that nobody discovered, whatever. And now, and that type of ego, is very destructive. I'm talking about the egos like they know who they are, not because it's based on knowledge, intelligence, success, or anything like that. They know who they are as a human being. They know the essence of what they are here for, what they were created for. Okay. And tools of success don't define them. They're tools of success. Most people define themselves by, they're successful, therefore I am deserving or I am somebody. Exceptional leaders, they don't do that. What they have is like, shit, I'm realized I'm human. And they have that ego goes, I am human. I am this human individual, this being of grand potential. They see that potential and they don't sway from it. They don't sell their souls to, say, make, the $1 billion or the $1 million, or some of you who sold themselves for even less. They don't do anything like that. They know who they are. The key trait about that is that they don't sway. They don't push other people into, say, going, hey, respect me because I am this. They don't have to. People look at them and go, damn, I need to respect that guy. I don't know why, but I need to respect that person. And they have a big enough ego to know who they are, that they rise or they raise people up to a point where it's like, dude, we're human. We have limitless potential. Do you know that? Most people think that they operate not from their human standpoint, their limited self. They operate from their grander version. Right? I don't want to get. I call it their limitless perspective, but they operate closer to their, say, spiritual version of limitless potential. Right? A grand being of who you are. That, say, internal self. That giant of who they are, the force within, as Yoda would put it, right? Or that power within. They operate from that. And that doesn't need any labels or anything like that. They just are. But the key trait for them is that they spread it. They don't go, hey, this is me, honor me, I'm your guru, I'm your follower. It's like, no, dude, this is me. That's you too. And they bring out that best potential in people. So that's why they have that huge ego, right? Not a distorted ego. They own their claim. So if they're really good at something, they just say it without ego and anything like that. Like, for example, um, who's that famous basketball player? God. He said that he was the best. And then people go, well, he's too fucking egotistical and this and that, right? And you look at the numbers and other people saying he is the best, and if he said it, it's like, well, shit. Other people who are insecure go, well, that's egotistical. So they know that they're the best, or they know that they did this, and well, and they just own it. So what's the difference between other people saying it and then you saying it at the lower levels of consciousness? Again, consciousness effect, that people go, well, shit, you should have humility, you should allow that. Yes, at the lower level. But individuals, they don't say it because they need to prove something to them. They just say it because it's fact. It's just something that is, right? If my skin was blue and say blue is good, right? And I go, hey, my skin's blue. And I'm just giving you a low level example. And then go, you shouldn't say that, your skin is blue. You should let other people say it. It kind of, I wrote some copy, and I called myself the pioneer of like human consciousness. And then the people on my team go, well, you should allow other people to say that, and more, and they have. There's all my clients are raving fans because they change so dramatically. Where something might take 20 years to transform, I transform in about, say, 10, 20 minutes, 2 sessions. And people go, well, shit, that's unbelievable. Well, whether you think it or not, it still is, right? People still do get those effects. So for me saying it, people go, well, shit, that's really egotistical. You should allow, yes, it's a great idea, and people do say it. But if I say it, what's the difference? I have no ego behind it. So no matter what it is, I'm just stating, say, fact for you. And so those exceptional leaders, they're just stating fact without proving. It's like, hey, I am the best at this, and therefore you should, honor me, bow down to me, and all that bullshit. That's not the case. They're just saying, hey, as a statistics, I'm the best at this field, and that's it. Whether you like me, honor me, I don't give a shit. So they own their claim. They don't motivate. In fact, they're terrible motivators, or terrible team builders, or terrible goal setters. And I'm kind of shortening this up for you because, again, it's going a little too long. And those are the traits that, again, most leaders and most people who profess leadership and success, they go, you need to be a good motivator. You need to be a good team builder. You need to be a good goal setter. They're none of those, really. They're more of themselves. But when they create a reality, and they're not visionaries, by the way. And most people think, well, shit, exceptional leaders are visionaries. So it's like, well, shit, those are all, it's like, what? This guy's crazy. I'm really not. Think of the logistics. Let's break down to, again, the first principle. And you'll see that they don't motivate people. They know who they are so strongly. Their identity just resonates so powerfully. Their vision of what they're trying to create out there in the future is here now. So they're yes, they're visionaries, but they render themselves so powerfully that they don't have to motivate. Motivation is like you're standing on a hill and going, guys, I see this beautiful, you know, uh, place that we could be in, and you're jumping up and down and going, yes, guys, I see this. Let's go to it. And, you're motivating people, right? Which is kind of strange because motivate, you break it down, it's motive, and then motive is a negative, but then motivate is a positive. So how does that work in today's society, right? So what's your motive to motivate? Right? If you always have to say motivate, you're always trying to exchange something, right? Whether it's energy, whether it's a decision, whether it's you dating somebody. So whenever that happens, you always have to keep motivating people for your cause or your purpose. It gets to be really expensive, right? And it gets to be really detrimental, in a relationship, if you're always trying to motivate for that person to stay with you. So, but successful individuals, they don't motivate like that. They are who they are so strongly. They create that vision that people just experience it, and people go, shit, I want to be with that guy. So there's no motivation, because motivation turns into, say, control, right? Like a lot of governments, right? They promise freedom and this and that. People go, yeah, let's go do it. And then over time, that government becomes, well, very constrictive, right? Because they have to control. You always have to feed people or control people to keep the masses, say, happy or successful. You always have to motivate. Again, motivate turns into prison later on. Successful people, they don't give a shit if you're going to follow them or not. They know that they're going to create whatever that they're going to create because they've already created it in this reality from another consciousness, but they bring it down to this reality. This reality is so strong that people go, and it's not because, they have a great vision of, say, saving people. It's because that person is so present in their identity, right? They're resonating at precise, say, the crossroads of time and space, that those individuals, they go, I want what that person has. There's no need for motivation. They're just going to gravitate to you. This is where you have the raving fans. This is where people just follow you, right? It's like, damn, I don't care what that guy is, but I just want him. And there's no salesmanship. There's no motivation. There's no, they don't goal set because they don't have to go. Goal set is something that you're point A, you want something in point Z. They already have it. They're resonating with it. It's just a matter of time before they get it. So that's not really goal setting. That's materialization. They're not visionaries. I just want to talk about that. Visionaries are somebody that sees something and they have binoculars and they go, guys, the future is X. Visionary, say Deepak Chopra. I love his content and all that. He's a visionary. He's not a doer. He sees the potential. He sees behind the veil of what the possibilities of that, say, the quantum realm or the quantum mechanics, as I would describe it, is, right? Individuals who are exceptional leaders, they are in the say, in that field. They live in that field here. And so again, they're not visionaries. They are that vision. They live the vision here. So I could go on and on. Again, kind of going a bit over time. It was only supposed to be half an hour, but I think a lot of you hopefully love that. Thank you for that, guys. We'll probably do a lecture series on this, on the key traits and how do you become all that I described, right? So that's what, again, exponential intelligence is about, is changing, elevating, or changing, say, your frequency to help you elevate to your higher levels of who you are, which again helps you allow that. And it's all about, say, based on space and time, right? And people, again, who are new, is like, okay, he talked about all this, now he's talking about space and time. The basis on what I just said is about you coming into a singularity, again, of space and time, the crossroads, okay? That one point, that reality. crosses time, present moment time, singularity. When you're at that point, you become an exceptional human being, which naturally is, again, an exceptional leader. So take a look at that. one of the things that we're doing, by the way, is Brilliant Minds. Right? That's a series on the XI lecture series that's coming up. Really fantastic. How to think like those geniuses, like Elon Musk and Nikola Tesla and so on. How to have them think and then even make it better. Because Elon, again, unbelievable individual, genius, but the way he runs his programming might not be good. Could improve, as far as an individual. And then also, somebody just put up here, I'm excited about the driving event. Driving event coming up June 1st, guys. If you want to come into your grander power, like really quick within the 2 or 3 day event, it's a 3-day event. The 3-day event that we're having, you will come into that complete confidence of what I was talking about. You'll have that huge ego of going, damn, I found who I am. And then you share it. Again, raising consciousness. The driving event is really fantastic. Plus, we've got tons of other stuff. We've got, singles event, how to, for relationships coming up, couples events coming up, sessions. My sessions do get booked up really fast. In fact, as soon as we open them, they're booked. So if you need a session or if you want a session on that, we put up a waiting list for you, and we'll get you in there. Okay. So I'm going to just take a few second break, guys, and then we'll come back and we'll analyze you. All right. Thank you.
Did you know that the same attributes that you need for high level success are the same attributes that high performance drivers have?
Hey guys, welcome back. All right, so this part of Moss on Sundays is about analyzing individuals. And again, I'm not a psychic. I don't have. I'm not a clairvoyant, clairaudio. I don't have intuition or anything like that. I just am in that state, and that's so it goes well above those frequencies, because psychic abilities, intuition, and all that, they're realms of time and space. They're things that you need your five senses to understand. The knowledge that I receive, I don't receive. I just am that knowledge, or I live out of that consciousness where those possibilities, or those possibilities exist, or your information exists. So I live I live out of that consciousness, and at that level, you just know that. You just know. So it's just a state of knowing. And I can talk about my abilities, and I have talked about it on lectures, or if you go to Exponential Intelligence, XI podcast, I talk about the mechanics, how you can get these abilities as well. I did it through 2 near deaths. It really escalated me, but now I show individuals how to have these abilities without having the 2 near deaths, right? Which is what you want. So before I go ahead and read these individuals, by the way, because of the world that we live in, disclaimer, this is Mas Sajady with Exponential Intelligence, Sunday, May 16th, 2021. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. So please consult your doctors for professional advice. Right? I'm not a financial analyst or anything. I'm just telling you what I see. If you ask to be scanned, you are agreeing that we may use your session on any public media to help inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to share your session, then don't ask to be scanned. Back, earlier when we scan, it's like people would call up. It's like, hey, I don't want that, say, publicized. Well, shit, it's a live event. We can't take it back. So again, if you're private, you don't want to be scanned, don't ask to be scanned. Right? All contents are protected by copyright. You may not use our content in any way, shape, or form for any purpose without my written permission. And nowadays more and more people are copying our content, which is, it's nice. It's a nice, but again, it's not the real deal. So be mindful of that, of other websites and so on that they claim what I do, because, well, they don't. So just be mindful of that. And then just type in your request only once. Don't keep, copy pasting it, because one, it gets disturbing. Two, it's just not nice. So, okay. And three, if I see that, I won't, I'll disregard it. Just give me 1 second, guys. Let me get situated. Let's all take a deep breath in. Guys, I'll get you into that state really quick. Again, it's not psychology, hypnosis, or anything like that. Again, strong deep breath in, just noticing where you are. And as I work on one individual, as I analyze one individual, just note that if you're in that zone, I'll be analyzing as you as well. This is where I ramp up those frequencies. Another deep breath in again. By the way, I don't need to know your real name. I don't need to know a picture of you. I don't need to know anything of you. You basically, your frequency of who you are, your frequency signature, has an IP address. Just like, say, your phone, right, has an IP address. Your computer has an IP address. I tap into your IP address. So, this one, Maya. Sure. Mas, could you please scan me? What would be the next step? So Maya, I think in a very short time, you've seen a lot of fantastic changes, right? And now it's like you've cleaned everything out of your closet. It's like, Mas, I cleaned out my house, but I don't know how to decorate. It's like, now what I do? It feels really good in here, but you know what? I need some furniture, right? I need to have a place for direction. So, so there's many of you like that. You clean out so fast, so rapidly, and the one thing that you're doing, Maya, is that people go, well, shit, I don't have any furniture in my house. I'm just going to bring my old couch back, and then sleep on that. So basically, it's like, I don't know where to go. So I'm just going to bring my old personalities of abuse back. I'm going to, recreate my old shit that I had. The beautiful thing that you're doing, Maya, is like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I don't care if I have to sleep on the floor, of this beautiful brand new house that I have. I'm not going to bring anything of my old life back. So Maya, you're doing a fantastic job. For you, you need to do that, because you've always got sucked into going, you get into a situation and then you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like, well, what else could I do? Right? What else could you do? And then you get pulled into directions that you didn't want to, or relationships that you didn't want to. So for you to confirm your deletions, which you're doing fantastic, is like, nope, I'm just going to stay here and just weather it out till that thing that really is deserving of me shows through. So really fantastic. You'd have to confirm your deletions. What I'm helping you as I speak, is bringing you that furniture or new knowledge, new concepts, new behavior patterns, new emotions, and all that. Okay. And you might think, well, I'm just talking for those people who are new. No, I'm actually generating frequencies for you as I speak. And some of you, even during the talk, you might have experienced that. You do have to confirm your deletions. I see a relationship coming up for you, or something of an old relationship or a current relationship that they want you to do something, or if it's a brand new relationship, if you don't have one, whichever way, I can't see if you are in a relationship, because you're not deeply connected. So that portion of it goes deeper for you. So to do that, you would have to confirm your deletion. So for example, say I'll give you because of time, say you're not in a relationship, new relationship comes through and it's like, shit, this reminds me of my ex. Well, if it reminds you of your ex, it probably is patterns of your ex. So you would go, fuck, no. And you just, no coffee, no whatever. You didn't need to know that person. You already scanned them, analyzed them, and it's like, hey, this person is going to treat me like my ex. That's basically what you're saying. So if you want that, yeah, go ahead, do it. But I would suggest not, so that you would confirm your deletions and then you'd go forward. And by the way, if I analyze you, please, not for my sake, but for people reading this, for people who are up and coming, for new people, because I know, I'm accurate. I've worked on hundreds of thousands of people one-on-one. So again, a master at this. But for those, it gives you the possibilities of going, shit, like I was right. What did he tap into? And it opens the opportunities for you to come into your grander version. Okay, so again, please write in. This one, can I help with vertigo? Again, I'm not a doctor, but yes. And there's I'm not a doctor, so I'll just tell you what I see. One, there's a lot of tension around your neck, and it comes from whether you believe in previous lifetimes, or I could put it in a different way, but it comes from generational patterns of being constrained by your environment. Right? Everything is like a pain in the neck for you, so that's why no matter what you do, it's always a pain in the neck. Even making love for you is like a pain in the neck, for example, right? Because love, money, success, joy, happiness, whatever, is a magnifier. So as you say ascend higher to those realms, or make more money, make more love, be happier, basically it constricts, because you get to see what's really holding, which is actually a positive. Actually teach why that happens in other events that I do, like the driving event. We'll understand why that happens. But for you, again, it's that constriction, and your mother just I don't know, suffocates the hell out of you. So anything that, say, reminds you of your mother, or anybody that, say, has patterns similar to your mother, basically tighten you. And then from there, the physical symptoms is that, there's so much tightness that you don't get enough oxygen. And that's where you would get the vertigo. And then you're also, say, allergic to fermented foods. You're allergic to fermented foods, and it's just a suggestion. You can try it out. Your fermented foods and mold. So yeah, and you have mold in your environment. So okay. So you might want to do a blood cleanse to get the mold out. I don't know I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what it is, but check it out. Okay. This one. Please scan my father. He has mentioned on more than one occasion that he's going to hell, and so he will never see my mother again. Well, if you've been a kid and you've always been chastised, nobody's ever said anything good to you, for example, right? And you've always been running a victim pattern, right? And unfortunately, there's a certain religion that tells you that, right? You're born in sin, you live in sin, and that doesn't make a good case for you to go to, say, to that place. And then how do you know that his wife is in heaven if you believe in that stuff? So yeah, I can help him understand. He's always, say, nervous, by the way, and that's because as a young child he was never good enough. Even the way he looked, it's like, shit, you don't look good, from that mother of his. So again, no matter how good you are, and then you're running that same pattern, by the way, right? No matter what you do, you never feel good. You could be the most beautiful woman in the world, and you'd always pick on yourself. So that pattern, thankfully, from the work that you've done, is leaving. So what you're seeing is your father is like, say, residues of what you were running. So as you release it, you'll release, you'll help your father as well, by the way. Okay. So, and yes, I can help him maybe in a session, help him awaken. I helped him now, but help him awaken at a deeper level. So the rest of his time that he's got can actually be vibrant and actually enjoy life the way it should be, and just be. This one is, Mighty Savage, can you scan me? You're doing really well. You know, you're so excited about life now, which is really fantastic, because before, I think there was a point in time that's like, shit, I don't want to be here, right? So again, really fantastic. It's turned around, and it's not. And yes, you are happier and all that stuff. And the reason why you're happier and you're connected and you don't you don't is because you're in time, you're connected, you're more closer to that I am state. So and oh, here's Mighty Savage again. Recently came to the ongoing issue that I was constantly creating near death spaces all the time. Yes. So and the online event. So for you, again, you're eliminating that identity, so you're going to that next level of yourself where you don't have to worry about always staying, say, consistent or in time. So basically the opportunities of, say, near death type for you is an opportunity. The way we do it in the driving event is an opportunity for you to close that gap, and then you just stay like this. You stay merged with each other. So this one, Irina, could you please analyze me? Yes. So really fantastic, Irina. You have like neck issues or upper shoulder problems and so on like that. I don't know if you were injured, or if you're not the one that sustained the injury, there's somebody in the family that died that way. So you're carrying their burdens, or your family. There's different ways of looking at it, but I'll just tell you the science version of it. So somebody dies in your family with a broken neck, seems, from what I'm seeing. They they don't cross over, or you worry about them, or you love them so much, or your mom loved them so much that their consciousness still exists, right? Because somebody's holding on, somebody's energizing that consciousness that they left their body, but that consciousness or that thing is energized or has a battery pack, and that's either your mom or you. So when that happens, well, that consciousness or that issue, say, burdens or starts to integrate with your DNA, and then you start to operate. So you might not have a broken neck, but somebody, from what I'm seeing, has issues like that. But if somebody died of a broken neck, you would have, well, again, issues there, but constrainment. You would feel that you're always constrained. You would feel like you can't go forward in life. You would feel that somebody's always tugging you, for example, there. You would feel like you're limited. You would feel that something's always like holding you back, right? So the person that died of a broken back, neck or shoulder injury, and again, please write back. Or you might attract injury in that area. It's always like, no matter what you do, you bury yourself. So I can help you get rid of that for you. Okay. Let's take a deep breath in. This one is Serena. Could you scan me, Moss? I have a hard time staying present and in my body. Yeah. So for you, your whole life, Serena, it's been about floating away, right? You escape, especially when there's tensions. Maybe, there's a lot of tension or thoughts of divorce and all that when you're a young kid. So you don't want to hear that as a child, right? So what do? It's like, well, I can't leave. So, physically I can't leave because you want to be out of here, but basically you escape your identity. Right. So now the work that you've done, you realize that you escape. So you're really making, progress going forward. So in this mini session, let's just, tie you in or lock you in. Take a deep breath in, Serena. And then, so one, it's just like any problem. Once you realize you have the problem, that's half the battle. So now you're realizing that, shit, I'm all over the place, right? So this will help you with your making decisions. This will help you with not getting pulled around. This will help you with staying consistent or staying complete, not feeling hollow. So congratulations, son. This one's GDM. I'm trying to delete my autoimmune issues. Can you please help me? Again, not a doctor, but yes, there is. And again, you might check it out. There's some kind of bacteria or virus that runs through your system that you have that irritate your nerves, and then it starts to eat away the sheathing of your nerves, and then that's where the nerves basically they short circuit, and then that's where your so-called autoimmune has. So it is say physical. I think you probably might have say cleaned up otherwise because you look really clean. So really nice job there. So the last step is to what's causing that bacteria, and it could be yeast type problems from what I'm seeing, or eating too much sugars back in the day, and it's created some kind of bacteria, right? That unfortunately, when it gets to this point, you have a higher propensity again of having cancers and so on, because that's where I see can hear to me again. I'm not a doctor, but to me, it perpetuates. So when when you eat too much sugars, or your system chemical makeup is off, it's the things you start eating upon itself, the bacteria, and it morphs the cells, and then that's where the cells start eating its own body. So I'm not saying you have anything that extreme, but maybe the beginning. So I would really one, not eat anything sugary or carbs or anything like that. If you go on a keto diet, you might want to do something for a yeast cleanse or something like that. Again, these are all suggestions. You can do whatever you need to do, but do your research. Okay. This is Real Food for Life. I love that name. I'd love to have your scan. You're the type of individual. You're kind of new to me. It seems like you're a searcher. You're always searching for a better version of humanity. You're always searching. You'd be that tree hugger type personality. And again, there's no offense against tree huggers, but you're always saying it's like, hey, why can't we all be good? Why can't we all just love each other? And it's a beautiful place to be. But what happens when it isn't good? You're not that strong force that say dominates space where people go, shit, I should be good. You basically, hey, let's all be good, and then it doesn't work out, and then you escape and you start a new life, and then that doesn't work out, you start a new life, and that doesn't work out, you start, so you're always looking for, say, that place, but that place exists within you. Okay, and then no matter where you go, it's always good, it's always safe, it's always loving, right? So you're trying to find nurturing, just like a lot of the again, people, the tree hugger, I guess frequency, you could call it, algorithm, is that they're always like escaping and forcing people to be nice and love, but then you'd run kind of a victim type frequency. So you want to be that love, right? You want to be that strong individual, and then you don't get, say, knocked down or cut down like that tree. And then when people are around you, they go, shit, this person means business. I better be my best possible version. So helping you realize that, where again, you don't have to escape. Okay. Just a few more, guys. Patricia Coyne, please tell me what is holding me back. Thanks. Sure. Again, Patricia, it seems like you're kind of new to me, but the short time that you've been with me, you're probably seeing more and more blocks, or how you get pulled. It's not necessarily, there's different frequencies. People see blocks, right? They hit a wall and they can't go over, but there's something that always pulls you back. So again, there's a leash basically. And now whatever that you've done with me or XI, exponential intelligence, is that if you notice your life, Patricia, well, it's like a dog on a leash, right? What happens is that the leash is only, it's a certain length, right? It's just boom, and you hit that leash and you go, I can't go anymore. And then you would create something, a devastation or whatever, to go, snaps you back. And then you start your journey again because you've got momentum. It feels good, right? Otherwise, it's like you can't break that leash. You feel like those elephants in the circus where, it's a huge elephant and it's a tiny, tiny little rope. The way they do that right off the get-go when they're a baby, they're tied with huge chains, and this anchor that can't move. So that elephant, as a baby, they can only go so far. right? They go so far and they feel that tug. Over time, as soon as they feel that tug, they go, oh, can't go there anymore. So then they can, there's just a little stick on the ground and it's a tiny little rope and they feel that tug and then they don't go any further. So now you're experiencing like what's holding you back. And so what I'm helping you with, you're going to look down on what's holding you or what that leash is. And it's like, is that all that's holding me back? And then you just go forward and then you're good to go. So take a deep breath in, hon. Let's untie you from that leash. So you would experience it again, time after time. You get to a certain point and then you get snapped back, or basically you destroy yourself to snap yourself back. So, this one, Dr. J. Redmond. Hey, Moss, wanted to know if you can scan me and my mom who just passed over. Sure. So what you've done, again, or how you've awakened has actually really helped your mom. And maybe that's what I was waiting for. Because the dead who are awakened, it's like you can connect with them. And then, so that's the last one. All right, guys, that we'll read for today. So take a deep breath in. Your mom is just kind of like hovering because she just doesn't know. She's actually released a lot from what you've done. She's let go or forego the concepts of, say, religion or being that good person. If that makes sense to you. She's not, I think all her life was, I have to be a good person. I have to be a good person. And then, well, she forsaked, she's telling me, yeah, she forsaked a lot of things to be that good person. So when you're that good person, the vibrancy of life isn't there because you're always afraid that if you did something, right, that was, say, fun, that might have not been deemed according to society or cultural or religious patterns, that you're not a good person. So now, again, whatever you've done, you've awakened her to that point. It's like, shit, it was okay, whatever I did. I had, it's fun. And then she always had that youthfulness of her as well, that vibrancy that I think you got really attracted to as well, right? And no matter how old she got, she was that vibrancy. And the reason for that is that something happened to her in her 40s, and then basically she repeated 40 over and over again. So, yeah, so that vibrancy. And then basically say something happened at, in her, we don't have to get into the details. Something happened because it's a public forum. Let's say something happened to her at 41. Okay. And then it's like, well, I'm going to stay at 41 and then take care of this situation or person. And then I'll resume my life. But, that situation took the rest of her life. So she just got stuck, right? Waiting. So now she, again, because of what you've done, she's crossed over. It's like, whoa, I can resume my life, right? Not maybe in the physical realm, but just crossing over. So what she'll do is that, and you'll see her, by the way, she'll, and then I'm just working on other people that might have had crossovers like that, or people who've recently died. Take a deep breath in, by the way. So what she'll do, and you'll experience this, because anybody could say, hey, this is what's going to happen, but I'll have her confirm with you, right? So right back, purple roses, a purple rose, purple flower, purple. Okay, so I'll tell you that. So what she'll do basically is this is level 0 consciousness, just for clarity. Where density exists. She flips over into a level 1 consciousness where density can exist, right? So what that means is that they do the exact same thing, but without a body. So kind of like a dream state, right? You're in your body, you do a lot of things, but you don't need your body, as in dreams. So she goes into that other side. It's not a dream state. She literally has the abilities to do anything that she wants. She loves water. By the way, or a river. So she might want to go down some river or expedition that she wanted. She always wanted to. So I think that's, yeah. So she'll go do that on the other side. She'll bring you with, by the way. Oh, that's what that purple flower is. So say, I don't know, she goes to, I don't know the exact location, but say Costa Rica, right? And then she's, voyaging, she's canoeing down, and it's a great adventure because she always wanted to do that from what I'm seeing. And then, and there's this particular flower. It looks like a purplish rose. And she picks that. So the cool thing about that is that you will experience, say, a purplish flower that's a rose, right? And that's not my doing. That's basically her saying, hey, I'm okay. This Moss guy, is I'm just a communicator between the two of you. So you will experience a purple flower that looks like a rose. It's not a rose, but something like that comes from some place. It could be in real life, or you could go there, or you might see, say, a picture of it. Or somebody, no, you don't see it. Somebody shows something to you, something to that effect. Or you might also, say, smell, because she loves scents. You might also say, smell that, that the bouquet of that flower, although, like you're in your room, you're in your house, and you go, wow, I smell flowers. So it's your mom going, God, doesn't this smell lovely? So she'll communicate with you like that, but she won't hang around you because she's an awakened death. Okay? She'll just kind of come through, and you'll feel that brilliance of timelessness, and then she'll whoosh through. So she's good to go. All right. It's a lovely time to end, by the way, guys. So thank you so much, guys. Notice what you notice. Next week, I forgot the topic. Sorry. But take a look at it. We've got a topic for you, obviously. I just don't recall what it is. So take a look at that. Take a look at the other Moss on Sundays. There's podcasts out there coming up for you as well. Really good content on the logistics or the deep science. I highly recommend, guys, taking a look at the driving event on the logistics on how getting you into, say, that space where you're so focused in time that you can, again, accelerate yourself into success. So it's a cool way of, again, accelerating you into wealth and success. So, and you can do the driving event portion, not the driving event. You'd have to be there live, obviously, but you can do the success event online as well. All right. As always, guys, notice what you notice, and then notice the details of what you're noticing. All right. Peace.